Hey, so you're in the market for a new cordless tool? Or looking for a gift for someone that you care about? A DIYer, a woodworker, someone, or maybe you're just looking to upgrade or change over because your old tools have worn out? Well, good news, we're going to look into the cordless drill. We're going to make sense of all the options and get right to it. Welcome back to the Woodcrafting Place, where we bring you woodworking knowledge each week to help you improve your skills, make your time in the shop more efficient and more enjoyable. Today we're going to cover the options, what's available in the market, and selecting the best gift for your loved one, or for yourself, for your shop. We'll bring you some recommendations. We really have much better choices for tools for cordless drills today available to you on the market. So keep watching and we will cover the 5 most important elements for purchasing a drill and what my recommendations are and the best options for you. But before we get into that, if you like what you see today in this video, make sure you hit the thumb and subscribe. That way we know we're bringing you the right content. When I started looking at this project, I was amazed at the number of selections out there in the market. There's a huge number of drills in the market, skipping over the really high-cost commercial items like Atlas Copco or Hilti or Snap-on, skipping over those which most homeowners won't purchase, and also the generic brands which you can only buy online and you can't even find in the big box store. So it still left us 10 options. When you walk into the store today and you walk into the tool area, you'll find a huge selection: the green ones, the yellow ones, the red ones. There's the blue ones, and there's all kinds of options. So we're going to help you get through all the hype and get to the best option. Options that we evaluated in no particular order: Ryobi, Rigid, Bosch. We looked at Milwaukee. I looked at Makita and Craftsman and Porter and Cable, and 2 that you can buy at Harbor Freight, the Hercules and the Bauer. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on those 2 because you can only buy them at Harbor Freight. It sort of falls out of my criteria, and there's some other reasons. So we'll get into this. Video is not sponsored by anyone, nor were the materials that we're going to see today provided for in any way. They were bought by my own personal money. So for the last 8 years, I've been using Rigid. So as soon as the lithium-ion option came out, which was a real game changer in the cordless tool world, I ran out and get it. I've been using it 8 years, give or take. It really has made a huge difference. It's made it a much more versatile tool. I'll go over the 5 criteria that you'll use for picking this tool. And you may be surprised because I looked at overall value. I didn't just look at the highest performance or the least expensive, and I'll help you get past the hype, the advertising hype, which you'll run into. You'll find a lot of brands will advertise they have the highest torque, or they will have the highest working units. I forget what it's like, work content output or something like that. And it's just another way of measuring how much torque the drill puts out, but they're getting away from torque because torque isn't really a critical measure for what these tools do. The drill driver is really a hybrid of the classic hand drill. By adding this feature here, the clutch, it allows you to limit how much torque the drill puts out. So that way, when you're going to use it for things like driving screws, you have a way of preventing it from putting too much torque out, stripping the screws, and it's also a safety feature, which we'll cover later, but it's pretty important when you're using it for something other than drilling. And of course, then there's drilling, and for that they have 2 different speed ranges. You'll see here is a high speed and low speed. Very different speeds for different purposes. So what it really excels at, as I mentioned, is by having the clutch reducing the amount of torque. So instead of applying the maximum torque, it really excels at reducing that. If your goal is to apply the maximum amount of torque, like for driving bolts and getting assembly torque on putting a swing set together, you're going to want something different. You're going to want an impact driver. And that's what this is here. We'll cover more about torque later. Let's talk about features first, real quick. So the key here is that every single brand that I looked at has all of these features. First and most important evaluation criteria, and this is one we all start at, is cost. What do they cost, right? You can't get away from it because they do differ quite a bit. So they range from about $60 to $155, right? $69 I think was the one I found. One of the other things I looked at was battery cost, right? As I mentioned, these all have replaceable batteries. So you're going to want to have more than one battery. Now all of these tools that I'm considering in my recommendations have 2 batteries. First reason why I didn't recommend either of the 2 Harbor Freight drills was because neither came with 2 batteries. And lithium-ion batteries run nice and strong up to the very moment the battery runs out of power, and then it just stops dead. So without extra battery, you're dead in the water and you can't work until it's charged. In some cases, the battery costs as much as the tool does. So the batteries range for a 2-pack from $90 up to $175 for 2 batteries. Third criteria, weight. The tools range from about 6 pounds up to the heaviest model, which are over 10 pounds, 10.5 pounds. So that's not quite double, but if you're going to carry a 10-pound drill around with you and in the day put in hundreds of fasteners, you're going to get tired. The lower the weight, the slightly better recommendation. Simple. Torque. Now, I mentioned torque earlier. Torque is, for our case, our purposes, is really just going to be a measure of overall power and performance, but it's not critical because remember what I said, torque is being reduced by the clutch. It is not what you apply maximum torque in. You'll find that any screw you want to drill home, any of these will provide enough torque to drill nice big number 10 screw through a 2x4. So they have more than enough torque to accomplish any of the jobs you're going to use. And when you're drilling, torque isn't a critical factor for drilling, it's momentum. The momentum that you build up in the high speed, and that's what gets you the drilling activity. Oh yes, and I mentioned safety. One of the elements about the clutch on these and reducing torque and limiting torque is, can you turn this all the way up to the drill set? When you're driving it down, and you get to where it's fully installed, this drill will snap around. Let me tell you, your wrist will really hurt. And last but not least, the number 5 key criteria, which I believe to be the most important, all right, is the optional accessories. Remember I talked about batteries and cost is important. So after you buy this, and if you're like me, you wanted to have one kind of battery for all of your cordless tools. And my second cordless tool was a Sawzall. When I went out to buy the Sawzall, I realized the cost of these accessories was pretty high. Also availability was hard to find the Sawzall for this particular brand, and a lot of them, and a lot of accessories. So one brand stood out, and it hit every single item on my list. I had a list of 42 possible tools. One brand hit every single. And the brand that came with all the accessories, as you can see here on the screen, is your Ryobi. Now, after looking for features and extra equipment for the Rigid for years, finding them to be rather expensive, here's the brand I found that's affordable. You'll see that the Ryobi is also one of the lowest cost for all the elements, including batteries. The other item with the Ryobi is 2 things. They're famous for their interchangeable batteries, new tools and old tools. So here's the new tool with a battery and an old tool. same exact battery. So when you add all that up, that's where the greatest value comes in. Now, if you need one for your loved one, if you're yourself and you're a contractor and you want the heaviest duty, the most power, the best resale, and the best overall reviews, generally Milwaukee is recognized as the most heavy-duty professional. It has one of the highest torques, if not the highest. It was right there with the rigid, a few inch-pounds lower. It also happens to have numerous options available for it, not quite as much as the Ryobi. A lot of the interchangeable options are commercial grade, all right, and they're pro-level tools, so that if you're out on the job and you're looking for something that's going to stand up to the abuse for years, Milwaukee would be the recommendation. So I know a lot of you out there are faithful followers of various brands, and you may or may not find some of this stuff a little controversial, saying that this is a better recommendation than this, considering this one here actually has a lifetime warranty. But when you add up the cost of the extra batteries and the tool and the extra cost of all of the interchangeable options, accessories, this gets to be very expensive to try to outfit your shop with all rigid, and that way you can avoid having numerous different batteries and chargers. I know people that have a wall of every known charger and battery for every brand, which brings me to this is the one. Now, if you're looking for a really good deal as a gift, if you look down below, as I mentioned, I've done a lot of research on this. I've done very extensive. You will find links, affiliate links to Amazon for the very best deals on these tools. Like I said, if you liked what you saw here, give me a thumbs up, smash that thumb, and don't forget to subscribe. Question of the day is, what tool did you buy? When you went out looking for it, you decided to buy a drill, did you buy the Ryobi? Did the accessories push you over the edge? Let me know down below in the comments. If you think that there's no way you can live without the lifetime warranty of the rigid, tell me that too. So I hope you enjoyed what you saw today. Make sure you subscribe. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again in the next video real soon.